Oh boy, okay. We should be live then. Hang on. Analytics. And then I should be good to display this, right? Okay. Here we go. Microsoft Paint. My Discord isn't shown here, so I think we should be fine. Okay, here we go. We're doing it. I feel like a lot of people have already done this before, but I feel like I might be the first one to actually do it on Microsoft Paint and ask and I'm going to be asking the chat if my ratings are accurate. I'll be doing the yeah, ultimate transition, bro. I'll be doing the triggers tier list, my version of it, but of course I'll also be asking help from the chat, the great, the almighty chat. Don't worry about it. Alright, yeah. I guess we can start now. I guess I can give like for each trigger that we rate, I guess I can give my brief opinion on it and then we can place them to their corresponding tiers, I guess. Okay. Let's start with start position. Start position, I guess it's a very good trigger. It's very useful for play testing. The only problem is, of course, you can't actually use it when verifying a level. It's actually, I find this pretty helpful. I think there's not much to be said about this. I think we can put start pause at an easy S tier. So, okay, I feel like this is going to be a short stream, but whatever. Next is the color trigger. Color trigger also definitely an S tier. I feel like, so I feel like, yeah, if even if you didn't have the pulse trigger, color can kind of already replicate what the pulse does. So we can also place it as an S tier. And since the pulse is easily replaceable, I can place this at like a A tier or B tier. Yeah, maybe an A tier for pulse. Okay. Move trigger as well. Nothing more needs to be said in S tier. Stop trigger. I guess for making mini games, although I don't create that many mini games. I would say to put stop at an A tier. Since I mean, like if you're a mini game maker, I guess you can place it at S tier. But then again, yeah, I mean you can kind of just time stuff already. So I guess that's at an A tier. Alpha trigger definitely an S tier as well. Toggle is kind of replaceable with move and alpha, an instant move trigger and an alpha trigger. So even if you didn't have this, you can kind of just move in alpha. But then again, even if you do move in alpha, it kind of is less optimizable. So yeah, I guess toggle we can do at an S tier. Now follow, I don't really know about this one. This one kind of seems like it's a little weird for me to use. I've used it, especially in my last stream when we made a level. We used it for the memory part. The very last memory part at the end of chat made this, but but other than like mimicking movements, I mean, like you can already just duplicate movements, and so we can place this at an A here. I feel like there's not gonna be that many triggers at B, C, or D, and E and F tier. Okay, rotate, yeah, definitely an S tier. The only thing that can, not even move can compete. Spawn is definitely a huge S tier. Although I feel like that's kind of cheating, because stop is at an A tier, and why would I put spawn at an S tier? Yeah, follow is kind of useful for parallax, but if you even with just a little bit of calculation, you can already just use move triggers instead of follow trigger. Follow trigger is kind of easily replaceable. Hide, yeah, at an A tier as well. I don't use it that much except for like blinking, and sometimes the blinking does get it will place both of these in the same tier. Enable, I don't really see the use for this. The enable trigger, I mean, like, it's cool visual effects and all, but even still, why? The visual effects that it gives is kind of questionable. Like for example, even if you had the hide trigger activated, if you have this, that kind of just defeats the purpose of the hide trigger. So disable as well, kind of the same thing. We can place both of those at the same tier. Shake trigger, I don't use it that much. Like, I can recall the last time that I actually used it was in level name. Shake also has a very bad limit to it. It's like 10 seconds per shake trigger at maximum. So that's kind of already a bad start to begin with. So I guess we can also place it at the B tier. Anime trigger, there's not much use for it. I've I've pretty much never used it. The last time I remember using an anime trigger was back when I created trigger abuse for the monsters that moved up and down at the first ship part of the level. It doesn't really have a use other than being. It's like really dependent on the objects, the type of objects that anime trigger uses. So yeah, shake ain't great. So anime triggers probably C. Uh, enable is probably C. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess enable kind of defeats the purpose of hide, but it does give some cool visual effects, some slight but cool visual effects for some specific levels, but it's really situation specific. Follow player Y. This is pretty good for boss fights, but at the same time, I'm not really a big fan of that myself. I feel like animate is rotate trigger, but worse. Animate can't even rotate. That's the real problem. Like, if if this wasn't so object specific, maybe I could have given it like a. Actually, no. Now that I am considering it, we can place at. Let's just place animate at one tier lower because it's so object specific. I don't even know where to begin. Like, if it had more functionality than just having the monster in the bat and whatnot, if it had more functions outside of that, I'd probably give it the C or B tier, maybe even an A tier if there was that much. But as it stands, it's pretty much useless if you're not even going to use those specific objects. Follow player Y would probably be at an A tier. Yeah, I feel, yeah, good for boss fights, like I said. Touch trigger. Touch trigger is pretty good, I would say. Very useful, most useful in mini games specifically. So I feel like there are some instances where you can replace the touch trigger with a collision trigger and some collision boxes. I do remember instances where the touch trigger was not used in some mini games. So yeah, follow player Y is pretty good for making custom trails. Yeah, I guess, but with custom trails and boss fights, but I wouldn't say it's an S tier. I think an A tier is fair enough for it. Shake is B because it can be used in good transitions. It can be used in good transitions. It can also be like, for example, if you're making like an earthquake themed level, I think the shake trigger works pretty well. But the 10-second limit is what really sets it like into a low tier for me. It's not very good. So slow gameplay has some good potential for the touch trigger. Touch is replaceable. Yeah, touch is kind of replaceable by a toggle orb. But I wouldn't say it's on the level of the shake trigger, so I'll give it an A. Count. Count, I guess, is pretty good. It can kind of replace instant count in some cases, but it has to be very, like, specific, if I remember correctly. It's like real specific. The value that it takes is like a very specific. It's very specific. You can't do the less than or greater than thing with count. Plus, I feel like instant count is a little more comfortable for me to use, so I'll place that at the B tier, I guess. Okay, instant count. I guess instant count's pretty nice, yeah. We can place this at the A tier. Pickup trigger, now this one's really nice. Although with the functionalities that it has right now, I feel like RobTop could have done a little more with it. I feel like maybe in 2.2, I haven't looked at the 2.2 leaks, but I feel like pickup could have had like a set value, add, subtract, multiply, or stuff like that. Or maybe there could have been another specific triggers, more specific triggers for for pickup arithmetic and all that. But as it stands, it's only plus or minus depending on the value of the number that you input. So yeah, we'll place it there, I guess. Now and the more you know about the editor, the higher the complex rules you place. Well, yeah, if most of the I'm rating triggers based on, I guess you could say, their functionality, their usage. Like, sure, I mean, like, if you were a minigame player, touch would definitely be an S tier. Instant count and pickup as well, I suppose, but I wouldn't really say that it's, in a general level sense, I wouldn't say it's that good. Okay, let me actually extend this a little bit. This is the only way I know how to extend in Microsoft Paint. Copy and paste. And it actually works. I am a genius. Don't misalign it now. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Let's move to collision next. Oh boy. Hello, Rainbow Wee, it's you again. You can set negative values on picking, but for the pickup trigger, there's no like actual arithmetic functionality to it. Like, for example, you want to multiply one number by another number. I need like a row of pickup triggers for a single multiplication thing, or if we're gonna do time based, like a spawn trigger, a pickup trigger, and then the spawn loops that pickup trigger for a set amount of times. And I mean, which is nice and all, but that's not very efficient in my opinion. So it's gonna be in the B tier. For collision, I guess it's pretty good. I wouldn't say it's bugged me out that much. I'd say whenever I experience a bug, it's more because of the collision boxes themselves and not the collision trigger. So I guess we can place this at an A tier. Wait a minute, before I actually place that at an A tier or something, I wanna copy this again. Here we go, I guess. There we go. Okay, now I can place collision trigger at an A tier. Yes. On death trigger, I mean, well, not really much I could say about this except like I guess it's pretty good for like some effects you want to do, like for example if you want to do the future funk to 99% death end screen. I guess yeah, then it's actually pretty funny to use. But if you're gonna use an on death trigger, like say for example you're making an easy 2-star level or a 3-star level, and the player completes it in one attempt, and then it's essentially useless. It's kind of more like a cosmetic trigger than anything, really. Yeah, it's on death trigger really is just for the funny stuff, Yeah, a lot of people I can say can make very creative death end screens, but it's not very usable in like the general level sense. Anyone can complete any level at one attempt, and you wouldn't be able to see the death end screen. a lot of people wouldn't be able to see the death end screen if they ever did that. So I guess I can place this at a B tier. It's more of a cosmetic thing, really. Okay. On death is cool because of levels like page not found. I guess yes. But then again, if you complete the level in one attempt, it's essentially useless. Like it for you to be able to use on death, you would have to be expecting the player to die at least once. On death is good, not overused. I'd say it's overused in some situations. Now, for these ones, I feel like they're definitely like an F. Because I always use don't fade and don't enter, so this is definitely a biased decision. Alright. Let's see, what does the chat think? On death trigger plus spawn trigger with delay equals short death animation. Yeah, like I said, on death is a cosmetic thing. If you guys, by the way, if you guys want me to change a rating before I end this live stream, I guess I can do that. If you guys want, only if you guys want though. Edit, add the custom colors, okay, and then we can start to edit if we ever want. Yeah, I mean, what if you were forced to die for a coin or something? Forced to die for, I guess, but like in the like let's say for example, like that's very like level specific, and I'm talking about like the easy levels in which you can one attempt the stuff, the one where people say GG one attempts. Who actually likes BG? To be fair, I don't use any of these. I have never used these once in my entire life because of all of the objects after I make a level. I click on the don't fade and don't enter and then disable the glow. Oh boy. Shake triggers S. I don't care what anyone says, it's the best trigger. Well, I guess if you're one who likes to play that old minions level, I guess shake trigger is an S. But for me, I feel like shake does deserve the B tier thing. Okay, now that I think about it, because well, number one, like I said, I can't repeat this enough. 10-second limit, man. I gotta place shake triggers every 10 seconds, and then when you die, in like practice, when you die while a shake trigger is activated and you respawn at a point where the shake trigger is activated, it doesn't even activate. That I feel like that might be a bug. Ah, yeah, okay, you know what? That's fair, actually. Come over here. You are going one level down. Because I'm not placing it at an F tier because even though this is like one of the most obscure triggers ever, like everyone forgets about it if they're not using the monster or the bat objects. Yeah, I've at least used it, you know. Oh boy. Trust me, it's good when used well. Maybe I'm just biased. Yeah, mate. I mean, yeah, it's used well in some specific circumstances, but in cases like, let's say you have a level, and then you place some unnecessary shake triggers on it. It's not very. Because sometimes the aesthetic is not very good. But let's say, for example, you're playing like an earthquake themed level or a tsunami natural disaster kind of level. Or maybe say, for example, you have a boss fight, like in the Eschaton or something. The use of the shake trigger would actually be pretty nice, but other than that, sometimes it does get a little annoying. Yo, Cypher, I saw you on Hypixel the other day in Lucky Block Sky Wars. Ah, yeah, I was playing Lucky Block Sky Wars yesterday, Mr. Flop Flail. Someone else also found me on Lucky Block Sky Wars, and I was, and then after the few games I played, they joined my Discord server. It's the best element for intensity. I feel like for intensity, you can already kind of just use a mix of pulse and color for that. Like for example, if you're, let's say you have, what's a good example of intensity? Maybe Nano Love, or no, what was the no? That was the name of the song. What was the level? Butiti 3 by Jonathan GD. A bad example of a good example of the bad usage of shake trigger is probably what was that? I played the harmonica by Play the harmonica maybe, or it was that one level by K Jackpot, the saddest level ever played by Partition Zion, if I remember correctly. Can you do 2.2 triggers tier list? Since this is a, I'll do it when. Okay, to be fair, I can't. I don't want to rank triggers that I have no idea about. Let's say, for example, the camera trigger. Who knows? Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, or maybe even the shaders. I feel like it would be a little bit unfair because number one, I haven't actually done the 2.2 GDPS thing. I haven't ever touched the 2.2 GDPS, so I don't know how to use those triggers. And I feel like rating them this early would be unfair and would be pretty biased. Shake, yeah. Shake, you. I feel like you need to balance the amount of intensity that you place using the shake trigger. I'll say 1 month after 2.2 for some context. For okay, so maybe like 1 month after 2.2, maybe we can do a 2.2 trigger tier list, maybe, and then we can adjust the current tier list that we have, based on what we have right now, I guess. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I guess we should. I guess we can make this a pretty short stream because I still have a lot of things to do. But if there's no more objections against what we have right now, I guess we can call it a day, and I can post this as my community post. And then maybe some of the comments will be like, "Oh my gosh, Cypred, why did you place Pulse on A tier? Why did you put Animate on E tier, Cypred? This is incredibly biased. This is communism. How dare you?" And I'm just sitting here like, bro, watch the stream, I guess. Okay, maybe. Now that I'm reconsidering it, I feel as though pickup might not. Uh, no, not pickup. Maybe like count. No, I feel like I might. No, you know what? We'll place on the on seat here. I'm sorry, but we're gonna have to place you on seat here because, like I said, this is cosmetic. The there are no objections to this, right? This is more of a cosmetic thing than anything. Because at least in the case of these other five triggers, they do kind of have a general level usage in terms of like gameplay and visual effects, for example. This one on death trigger is kind of a little risky to use if you're making it in like a pretty easy level. Put stop in S since it helps when making a following block. Well, I guess it's all like I said, it's also pretty useful in some minigame cases and also whenever you need to stop a specific thing. But then again, you can kind of just measure the timings and all that. Also, put start pause in B. Oh yeah, now that I think about that as well, I guess start pause doesn't really. Maybe like an A repeat here. It's not really a gameplay trigger, so I guess. Yeah, you're right. Can we put that there? The start pause, even though it has its uses, in the end, you're not gonna even be able to use it in the actual level anyway. Anime trigger is S tier for settling the debate of what the big beast is called. Well, I mean, I'm just gonna call it the monster object. You can't stop me. Whether it's named Big Beast or giant crocodile-looking thing or low-budget alligator or whatever, I'm still going to just call it the regular monster object. Start pause is useful to practice extremes. I guess that and also playtesting. I do a lot of playtesting whenever I create a level, so Yeah, that's pretty good. But other than that, not really what I would consider an S tier. So I guess we're done with this tier list for now. Guess we can call it and crop this. We should be fine there. Okay, well, it has been 25 minutes. I feel like that's long enough for a tier list stream. I feel like I've said more than enough already, and I also still have to do something, so I'm going to be ending this stream early then. Oh, BGFX office hot. Huh. Now that I. Wait a minute. Yeah, you know what? Maybe BGFX is higher, but then again, I never actually use it. Okay, you know what? You actually make sense somehow. Wait, before I end the stream. Wait, before I end the stream, that actually makes sense. Collision could be S if you can make many minigames. Yeah, I've made a few minigames in my time, but I'm still gonna keep it at an 8 here because then again, you can kind of already do a lot of things without collision already. Replacing BG effect off at D tier, even though no, replace it at E tier, even though I've never used it. Because at least even if you don't check the don't fade and don't enter, you can kind of already disable those happening. So, okay, well, I'm going to end this stream for now because I still have a bunch of things to do. So this is gonna be it for now. Yeah, it's a pretty short stream. Okay then, see ya, people.